contributor happens to be in the person of Honourable Emmanuel Armah-Kofi Buah, Minister for Energy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the 2015 budget with a theme, Transformation Agenda, Securing the Medium-Term Prospects for the Economy. Mr. Speaker, I'll focus on the energy sector. The mandate of the Ministry of Energy, Mr. Speaker, as you know, is to monitor and evaluate policies for the provision of secure, safe, and reliable supply of power. Mr. Speaker, what is the state of our power generation today? Mr. Speaker, I took the trouble, as I will talk about it, I took the trouble to seriously share with this Honourable House as we focus on how we address the challenges. And this is important because we have to say that never again will we get into a tandem where we get into the situation we are. Mr. Speaker, our first power, Akosombo, was built in 1966. Mr. Speaker, I've looked at the pattern. We added an expansion, 72, and we moved to Pong in 1982. If you calculate, that was almost 18 years that we added. Mr. Speaker, I say these things because they are very important. And this is basically the scorecard of our generation map. You look at the TAPCO. It came in 1996, quite frankly 98. It came because we have a power crisis in 1998. Today, it is not operating because the machines are old and faulty, and we have issues of gas. Mr. Speaker, we have TICO. It also came in 2000. It came on an emergency. We had to rush with the intervention of President Clinton. Today, we have a faulty plant, and it is not operating. Mr. Speaker, the list goes on. And if you look at the dates, we never added any generation to 2007. 50 megawatts mining reserve plant. 50 megawatts. And you have to check the dates. Mr. Speaker, that was 50 megawatts. It came because we had a crisis.
Keep quiet and listen.
Mr. Speaker, 2008, we tried and brought in TTPP. And Mr. Speaker, that was it. For our friends who have been trying to do politics, for over 2,000 megawatts of generation, this map, this chart that I have, says that the only generation we have between 2000 and 2008 is 150. That is a record. Mr. Speaker, why do I say these things? I say these things because we collectively will have to agree that the issue of power generation, the realities we face today, whether it's faulty plants, whether unavailability of plant, whether it's the issue of not having gas. Mr. Speaker, we must collectively join hands to address the issue of power. Industries are not working today. People are being laid off because of power. And these are the realities. Mr. Speaker, I say that because this government has clearly underscored the importance of it. And it was underscored in this budget. If you listen to the Minister of Finance in this budget, he talked about the effort that is being made to address these distortions. One, Mr. Speaker, we are moving aggressively, as he had indicated, to address these short-term challenges, to address the critical constraint to our economic growth. We are adding almost 300 just in this coming quarter. But more importantly, Mr. Speaker, we have, within this short period of time, approved major IPPs that has never happened before in this country. We have approved SunPower, we have approved Jacobson, we have approved Amandi, altogether over 1,000 megawatts. Because of the problems, we are bringing emergency power, 450 megawatt Jacobs car power. Mr. Speaker, but that is not the story. In this budget, it talks about the gas era. And that is very critical because this country, knowing how gas was important, invested with our friends in a $1 billion project in the West African gas pipeline, but it never came. Mr. Speaker, I am very happy to say that just 2 days ago we made history, where for the first time we were able to bring gas 60 kilometers from the sea to the gas processing plant. And send that gas through the gas processing plant 110 kilometers to Abuazi, 30 million cubic feet for the first time in the history of our country. Mr. Speaker, we are not stopping there. Mr. Speaker, we are ramping this up, and we believe that within a short period of time we can bring the gas to the maximum volume of 120. We are pushing in this project to bring a second development, the Chiribua and Tomi, to bring additional 50 million. Mr. Speaker, on this forward march to address the constraint in our power supply, just last Friday at 10 p.m., we concluded a major agreement, a $6 billion agreement, to bring 170 million cubic feet of gas. Mr. Speaker, we have a hopeful future when it comes to our power supply. I am proud to say that if all the plans we've laid goes on, by July 2017, this country for the next 20 years should have 300 million cubic feet of gas on a daily basis. Mr. Speaker, that is the leadership that this government is providing to address the issue of our power sector. Mr. Speaker, we move further. If you listen to the minister in his budget, he talked about the creation of the infrastructure fund, but more importantly, he made a very powerful statement. He said our priorities was to strengthen our energy sector institutions. As we speak today, no bank will talk to any of our power institutions because they are all financially in trouble, whether it's ECG, whether it's Greco. And we all know why. We all know why. In fact, the headmaster recently underscored our problem. In the last year, we have tried to make an effort to say that ministries, departments, and agencies must begin to understand that electricity going forward is going to be very expensive. For over 40 years, ministries, departments, agencies, and almost every Ghanaian, electricity didn't matter. And we never paid for it. And guess what? All we are saying in the 21st century is that going forward, it is going to be thermal generation and other generation that are expensive. And we must begin taking responsibility for electricity. Mr. Speaker, we've introduced prepayment meters and we are moving forward to strengthen that as well. But that is not what we are doing. We've moved further. In this budget, it talked about the MCC. How do we bring more gas? How do we bring more gas? How do we bring almost 2,000 megawatts of generation and not strengthen our distribution sector? Mr. Speaker, that is why this government, working with the United States, is bringing in $500 million in the MCC to focus exclusively to transform transmission and distribution. What have we done in the last year, Mr. Speaker? We have done a lot to improve operational reliability. Sunyani Main 161 kilometer has been completed. Kumasi box supply point has been completed. 161 to Mohawa almost 80% complete. Pristia Bogosu ongoing. Strengthening our distribution sector. Wow. Mr. Speaker, we continue to strengthen our distribution sector, but we are not stopping there. We now move to the distribution subsector. We are infusing over $500 million in new money to transform distribution. Why is that important? Mr. Speaker, the question was asked, why is it that the IPPs were not coming? They were not coming because our utility institutions were financially weak and there was too much risk for them to invest in power. Mr. Speaker, we are changing that completely. In this budget, the infrastructure fund, taking advantage of the gas era and the 2 billion cubic feet of gas that because of good negotiation Ghana had to create a fund to clean up the indebtedness of Mr. Speaker, that is the vision of President Dramani Mahama for the power sector for you. I picked a chart here.
Honourable member, you have 5 more minutes to go. You have
Mr.
5
Speaker. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker. The reasons these are very important is this. What is the MCC going to focus on? We are going to turn around ECG. We are going to turn around NEDCO. And how are we going to do that? We know exactly what happens. Mr. Speaker, the people of Ghana deserve to have optimum customer service. When I need a meter, I should have it. I must have modern technology, smart meters, to be able to be sure that on a daily basis, I know how much bill I'm accumulating. That is what we intend to do. We are going to look at areas where private sector can participate and make sure that happens. The future of this country must have a strong distribution sector. Mr. Speaker, we continue on. Mr. Speaker, what have we done in the petroleum sector? Because, Mr. Speaker, because of prudent measures this year, can we have order? Can we have order? Honourable members, can we have order in the House? No. Can we have order in the House? Honourable members. Yes, honourable member, proceed. Mr. Speaker, some of the things that I'm talking that are so rare, people are still not getting over it. The idea that led by this government, Ghana is producing its own gas. It is more than that, Mr. Speaker. This is what we've been able to do. Mr. Speaker, this year, we have been able to come with the support of this House. And in this budget, we have strengthened the upstream sector. We have passed local content. And I can talk about how Ghanaians are now strengthening their capacity in the upstream industry. We are now seeing Ghanaians gradually coming up and taking their proper place in the upstream industry, taking the driving seat. We are strengthening regulations. We are drafting metering regulations. We are drafting safety ahead regulation. We have laid, listening to the advice of this House, a massive exploration and production bill that will really address the issues of transparency and strengthen our environment and make sure the issue of local content is in. It has been laid. This government is leading the way to make Ghana the hub of oil and gas exploration in the sub-region. Mr. Speaker, we don't stop there. We have been able this year to produce over 28 million barrels of oil. We have been able to bring to this country over 780 million in oil receipts. Mr. Speaker, we have moved to repair all the struggles we have with Jubilee. An average daily oil production of 105 barrels.
Begin to wind up.
Mr. Speaker, this country is on a forward march. We, this government, have moved this country into the gas era. We are moving this country in an era of hope for the power sector. The IPPs will come. We are transforming our power institution into strong institutions. Mr. Speaker, that's the last point that is very important. Somebody asked me the question. Why are you saying that GNPC, the Ghana Gas Company, must collaborate and work and have all their synergies? In the gas era, Mr. Speaker, when as a country we get the off-taker and the aggregator of gas to put their muscles together to make sure we can accumulate and the value additions added, then this country can have the benefits of oil. We are looking into a future where we are doing everything to make sure that gas is cheaper so that we can produce electricity and create jobs, more industries, and empower our youth and see our own future. That is what this transformational budget is about. Mr. Speaker, I am very proud that the government led by His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama is finally taking this country out of darkness. We are going to get out of this doomsday because we have laid a solid foundation that takes us there. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, it's now the turn of Honourable J.B. Dankwa, member for Buakwa North.
I want the facts. Oh, yes. That was good.
That's good.
Yes, honourable minority leader.
Since we have a submission